He sat by the window every morning at exactly 7:03 a.m. Not 7 o'clock. Not 7:05. 7:03. The street outside was always half awake at that time, coffee in paper cups. Tired shoes hitting sidewalks, and the slow yawn of a city pulling itself together. But inside apartment 3B, time had its own rhythm. A rhythm that began with the quiet creak of an old wooden chair, the clink of a spoon against a mug, and the steady presence of a man looking out, watching the world like a lighthouse keeper in reverse. He didn't wave, he didn't smile, he just observed. And for reasons I still don't fully understand, that man taught me everything I needed to know about time. Hello and welcome to Everyday Epiphany, where simple stories spark soulful insights. Sit back, enjoy the journey, and may it brighten your day. It started when I moved into the building after my divorce. The lease was short-term. The furniture was borrowed. My heart was in limbo. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe silence, maybe space, or maybe just a place where my grief wouldn't echo so loudly. Apartment 3C, right next to his, was quiet, with dusty windows and the faint smell of old books. It felt like the kind of place where nothing would ask anything of me. And that's what I wanted then. No demands, no noise, just time. But time is tricky. When you're hurting, it doesn't move in days. It moves in shadows, in echoes, in the clinking of a spoon against ceramic. The first time I noticed him, I was fumbling with the blinds. It was early. I hadn't slept much, and the city outside looked like a watercolor, blurry and blue. And there he was already at the window, motionless. A thin line of steam rising from his cup. I watched him for maybe 20 seconds before I pulled the blind all the way down, embarrassed. But the next morning, he was there again, and the next, and the next. Always at 7:03. Always with the same quiet intensity, as if he were listening to something I couldn't hear. Days blurred. I spent most of them avoiding people, calling my lawyer, or rereading emails I shouldn't have kept. The apartment was cold. I was colder. I started timing my mornings just to see him at the window. Not out of curiosity, but out of some strange comfort. He never looked over. Not once. Then one morning, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find a woman in her 50s holding a small box. "Hi, I'm Clara. From downstairs, you're new here." I nodded, unsure if I should lie or confess the truth of being new to loneliness. She smiled. "Welcome, these are almond biscuits. My brother." She gestured toward the window next door. "He loves them." I looked at the box, then back at her. "He doesn't talk much," she added. "But he sees more than most." That night, I couldn't sleep. The idea that someone could be that silent and still see more than most gnawed at me. What was he seeing? What did I miss in the noise of my old life? Eventually, I introduced myself. Or tried to. It was a Tuesday when I caught him in the hallway. He was carrying a small watering can. "Hey," I said. I live next door." He looked at me for a second longer than felt comfortable, then nodded. "I know." His voice was rasped, like someone who didn't use it often. We stood in silence. Then he said something I didn't expect. "You leave your lamp on all night." I blinked. "Yeah, trouble sleeping." He nodded again. "Me too," he said, then walked past me into his apartment. That was it. No big revelation. No bonding moment, just a quiet acknowledgement of mutual sleeplessness. But somehow, that one sentence made me feel less alone. Over the next few weeks, we settled into something unspoken. He'd nod when he saw me. I'd wave. We never really talked, but somehow, I started timing my mornings with his. I'd get up at 6:50, brew my coffee slowly, and sit near my window. By 7:03, we'd both be looking out at the same street. He once knocked on my door and handed me a book. No words, just the book. It was A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. I remember flipping through it that night and stopping on a passage that made me sit still for a long time. Time is a curious thing. Most of us only notice it passing when it's too late to do anything about it. The man at the window never told me his name, but that book told me who he was. Reading A Man Called Ove felt eerily familiar. The character of Ove, grumpy, precise, seemingly indifferent, held so much more underneath: pain, love, loss, a desire to matter, even when the world had moved on. I thought of my neighbor, of the way he watered plants that no one else cared about, the way he watched the world not to judge it, but to feel tethered to it. It struck me then. Time wasn't something he measured. It was something he honored. That reminded me of something I once read in The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, another book I stumbled on later, desperate for answers. In it, Tolle writes, "Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have." The man at the window, he was always in the present, watching, breathing, being. I was the one lost in yesterday. One morning, he didn't show up. 7:03 came and went. Then 7:10. Then 7:30. I stared at his window, a dull ache growing in my chest. By the afternoon, Clara knocked on my door. "He's in the hospital," she said quietly. "It's his heart." I didn't know what to say. I had no right to feel the grief I felt. I barely knew him. But somehow, the absence of that simple routine, of him, felt like a gaping hole in the morning. He returned a week later, thinner, slower, but still at the window. This time, he waved first. I waved back, holding my coffee like it was the only solid thing in the room. He never said much, but he showed me the quiet magic of consistency, of showing up, of witnessing life, even when it doesn't ask anything of you. I once asked Clara why he always sat at the window. She smiled. "He waits for the light to hit the church across the street. It reminds him of his wife. They used to sit there together every morning. She passed 5 years ago." I stood there, holding that truth like it was made of glass. Time hadn't stopped for him, but he made space for it. That's when I realized, time isn't something we own. It's something we meet. Moment by moment. Morning by morning. There are people in this world who speak loudly, who mark time with noise and urgency. And then, there are those who sit by windows at 7:03 a.m., people who remind us that presence isn't about doing, it's about being. So, if you find yourself lost, disconnected, or rushing through the hours, look out a window, sit with your coffee, let the light hit the floor. Let it remind you that time isn't slipping away. It's right here, waiting for you to notice it. Just like he did. Thank you for being here with us at Everyday Epiphany. If today's story touched your heart or sparked a thought, subscribe and stay with us. Your next epiphany might just be one story away.